welcome to our last video of the day, awesome people, and that is for writing. On Monday, we had a writing lesson where you wrote a brand new journal entry in your journal. I absolutely loved reading them, but we are not quite done with that journal entry. We have one last step we need to do before we have finalized our journal entry and we can give it a rest. And that is our learning goal for today. It says, I can use my Super Writer's Checklist to review my journal entry. So we are using this tool today. It is our Super Writer's Checklist, and it's the form of a pencil. So you are going to need your pencil out and your journal today. This is the new tool we're going to learn how to use. And that tool helps us review our journal entry. It means we are going to look at it again. We're going to read it one more time to double check that it is absolutely the best work that we can do. And with our writer's checklist, there is 5 steps we are going to take to make sure that we are turning in our best work. So let's find out what they are. On the top of our writer's checklist, there is the word that says capitals. Capitals. Those are the uppercase letters of our alphabet. And capitals means that at the beginning of each sentence, you need a capital letter. You need a big uppercase letter at the beginning of each sentence. And let me ask Mr. Mo. Mr. Mo, why is it important to have capitals at the beginning of each sentence? Well, it's important because you are telling the reader when a new sentence starts. A capital letter tells the reader that this is a new sentence and a new thought. That's why they're so important. So that is our first step on our Super Writer's Checklist, is to check that the beginning of each sentence starts with a capital letter. Okay, what is next on our checklist? What do you see? It says spaces. Spaces. When we talk about spaces, we mean to leave space in between your letters and then your words as a whole. And why is that important to leave space and make sure we can see all your words and letters? Why is that important? Because we want to read your work. If you squished all your letters together and wrote them on top of each other, no one would know what your journal entry said. We want to make sure everything has its own space on the page to make it easier to read. If you're having a hard time with spacing, use your finger in between each word to lay it out correctly. My finger's a little bit too big, so I would end up having huge spaces, but your finger is just the perfect size to make sure that each word has its own room to breathe. So that's what we mean by making sure there's spaces throughout your journal entry. And let's move on now. What do we see? Spelling. Next up is spelling. That is oh so important. Spelling means that every word is spelled correctly. And we have a tool to help us with that. That is our spelling dictionary. Of course, every word in the English language is not in this spelling dictionary, but it is a fantastic place to start. So, Mr. Mo, why is spelling important for our writing? What do you think? I think spelling is important because it allows someone else to read our work. If all the letters are jumbled up, we would be the only ones that would understand what we're writing. We need to spell the words correctly to make sure anyone can read it and understand what we're talking about. And of course, spelling is a super important part of learning, so we always want to focus a lot on our spelling. Awesome, so we have 1, 2, 3 parts of our checklist we've gone over. What do you see as the next one? It's a big word, and that is punctuation. Can you say that with me? Punctuation. One more time. Punctuation. Punctuation. That's a hard word for a lot of people to say, so practice a couple times and you'll get better. Punctuation is a period, an exclamation point, or a question mark that goes at the end of all your sentences. When your thought is finished, you are going to end the sentence with a punctuation mark, which is either a period, an exclamation point, or a question mark. When we talked about capitals, we said at the beginning of each sentence, you have to have an uppercase letter. But punctuation always goes at the end of your sentence. And why is punctuation important? It goes at the end of your sentence. Why do we think punctuation might be important? Because it tells the reader when your sentence has ended. It tells them to take a pause, that your thought has finished, and you're about to start a new one. Remember, capitals say you're starting a sentence. A punctuation tells the reader you are ending your sentence. They allow the reader to understand what you wrote. So again, they're another part of our oh so important writing. Okay, last on our checklist, we have the one that says makes sense. This one is a little bit more vague. But when I have make sense on our pencil, that means, does my entry answer the prompt? And would someone be able to read it and understand what I'm talking about? Usually in Make Sense, we're always asking for us to have complete sentences. We're going to talk all about complete sentences next week. But that's what I want you to think about when you see the box makes sense. Would someone else be able to read my writing and understand? Are these sentences complete? Do they seem like someone would say them in real life? That's what you're looking for. That is usually the hardest one to change. But we're going to work on that all year. Okay, we have gone through all 5 parts of our Super Writers checklist, and now we're ready to test it out with this example entry. So let's read it together. If I woke up with a mermaid tail, I would go to the beach. Next, I swim. Then, I can see if it works. So this is just an example I made up. I purposely wrote it a certain way, so we have to go through our writer's checklist and find the mistakes we need to change. Okay, so let's start at the top. Capitals. They go at the beginning of the sentence, uppercase letters. Let's look at the beginning of our sentences. Remember, there's 3. Let's see if they all have capital letters. Okay, we're up here. Yes. So our next sentence. Next. Does next start with a capital letter? No, it doesn't. That's a lowercase n. So we need to change that n to a capital letter. So we are using our skills to look carefully. So then let's check our last one. Is that a capital T? Yes, it is. So now you can write on this. We can check off capitals. Let's go to the next. Spaces. Does each word have its own space? Let's look if they're spaced correctly. Is each word on its own? Can I see all the letters? Okay, next, spelling. That's a tricky one. Let's look over. Spelling, I'm looking at every single word. Is there one I want to check? I would. Would. You know what? I'm going to double check this word, would, in my spelling dictionary. So, if you have that with you, get it out. Would. That starts with a W, like I did. So let's find that W page. I know it's in the back of the alphabet. And there we go. Okay. So now I'm going to look for the word would. Would. I'm looking. Oh, I found it. It's all the way at the bottom. The word would. So I got part of the letters. I just needed a couple more. So I'm going to cross this out and write W-O-U-L-D. Would. This is the correct way we spell. And I used my spelling dictionary to help us find it. Okay, let's keep looking for those spellings. I'm looking at it. Okay, I think the rest are spelled correctly. So let's check it off. And what's next? Punctuation, that big word. So this is going to require us to look at the end of every sentence. So let's see. Do I end all my sentences? Got a period. Have another period. And there's nothing there. I forgot to end my last sentence. So we can go ahead and add a period to show our reader that we stopped writing. Good job. Let's check it off. Check. And we have the very last one. The trickiest one, but it might be the most important. So when we're talking about if it makes sense, that usually means we need to reread our entire entry. So let's try that. If I woke up with a mermaid tail, I would go to the beach. Next, I swim. Next, I swim. Would someone say that in real life? Saying, oh, next I swim. That doesn't really sound like how somebody would talk. So if I was trying to write that next I would swim, I need to include all those words in my journal. Next I would swim. Okay, next I would swim. I think that makes more sense. Let's go back and check. If I woke up with a mermaid tail, I would go to the beach. Next, I would swim. Then I can see if it works. That makes more sense and sounds more like how we talk. So I read my whole journal entry a couple times, and I'm going to check off the makes sense box. Awesome! We went through our entire checklist and scanned our entry several times. Checking your work is really hard. It's a lot of work, but it's super important to make sure that we're turning in the very best we can. So next, I'm going to tell you to take a look at your own journal entry. The one that you wrote about the mermaid tail on Monday. When I was reading your work, you guys did such a good job. A lot of your entries were in tip-top shape, but that doesn't mean you get to skip the checking stage. Everyone has to do it, and we have a tool to help us out. So your job on your own is going to be to check your journal with the Super Writers Checklist. You are going to erase what we did together, and you're going to look over your own journal with the pencil right beside you. You're going to look for capitals, then spaces, then check your spelling with your dictionary, then punctuation, and finally makes sense. I want you to see, can you find an error that you need to change to make your entry better? After you have finished going through your checklist, I want you to take a video explaining to me what you did find and how you changed it, or if you went through it and didn't need to change anything. That's okay, but you still need to check no matter what. So you're gonna go through your own entry just like we did, and then take a video explaining what you found. I'm super excited for you guys to use this tool because editing is something we will do the whole year, and it's so important. Okay, Super Scholars, fantastic work on this awesome Wednesday. I'm always so proud of you people. So go ahead and get reading and have a great day.